Start the recording. All right, sweet. Yo, welcome to the Boneyard podcast, guys. New week here. We got our guest star Gremblo, the Gremlin, the funny man on Foxhole. I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Berg. Appreciate it. Welcome, guys. You guys are having a good Friday. I am the one and only Gremblo. I don't know about funny guy. I don't think I'm really funny,
No, everyone
but
thinks you're funny, bro.
you know me. You love me, the purple freak that plays Foxhole, and super excited to talk about whatever the fuck we're going to talk about today. I don't know what else to really say for an intro, but yeah, I'm down whenever
Yeah,
you
dude.
want to dive into it. What do you want to talk about, Berg? I'm
So,
actually going to be interviewing you. This is
oh,
actually my podcast now.
okay, all right. So, all right. Well, thanks for having me on here, dude. I really appreciate that. Um, Yeah, so what I really wanted to talk to you about, the first thing I ask everyone that's ever been on the podcast, if there's something in the game right now that you could add, what would it be?
Got to be net new or something to change back to what it used to
Net
be, or
new, I mean, if there is anything in the game you want implemented, whether it's a revert change or you want something brand new or just anything that you think would benefit, sometimes maybe hinder, some people have done that too. What would you want implemented into this day and age of Foxhole?
dude, I mean, I've said it before, and I've really missed the white whale, and they need to bring that thing back, dude. There needs to be a cheaper and more like accessible way to do naval landings, and I ain't about that rare metal grind. That's not for me.
Oof, it is
So
real, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I think it is one of the cheapest to do the what is that called, the fish hook or something like that. What is that called? The one that they use now with a little
long
landing
hook,
craft, long hook.
yeah,
That's like the cheapest naval asset, but it's still like so expensive and it takes so long to get. I do
yeah.
miss, getting that intel leak that the white whale's coming in, bro, and everyone QRF and sitting on the beach and losing millions of hours of logi just like that. But the one that lands is like the one that can change the war. Yeah, dude, white whales were definitely an interesting time, and I would love to see how that would work with like coverage from an actual boat, not just gunboat coverage. Imagine a white whale with a
Yeah.
frigate or a destroyer covering that thing. That could be gross.
That could be. I think it's also like they're. I mean, naval in general is just so light right now. You only have like what, three or four different vehicles to choose from, not including like the APCs. But um, it just didn't make sense like to get rid of it completely. I think
Mm-hmm.
you could have multiple deployable landing ships. I don't think there's an issue with that. But I get it. They wanted everyone to use the sexy new toys that they were making, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I actually going on to the Navy. Um, how do you think going in to these wars that we've been going in? How do you think Navy's I guess the basic way to ask this: how do you feel about Navy right now as a total?
Shit, dude. In total, I
It's a broad
it's hard
question.
because like I did Warden last war, and we didn't really do too much Navy wise. We're gonna do more next war with Warden Navy. Um, but in general, I'd probably say like it's been more of a chore on the collie side. Um, from what I've been doing, mainly gunboating. I haven't really done a lot with the larger ships. I think the Gremlins and I we did um submarine stuff like way back. I think that actually the war they first got introduced is when we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also just so stressful, man. That's what it boils down to for me. I think Navy is just in general stressful as fuck. It's not fun. Like I did a whole video on this too where I was talking about like it's so weird that you can't repair the same vehicle you're on at sea. You have to like do this weird workaround where you hop on a barge or like hop off land and then you can repair. I don't know if that's changed since then.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was just like I want to be able to like stay in the fight and not have to fucking swim or like take my boat and drive it 20 minutes back to the nearest shipyard to repair it and then go back into the fight. So I think it's just very tedious and stressful right now.
It's a really funny point that you bring that up. And Cronus, I had on 2 weeks ago, brought up the exact same point. How now, obviously, he was more talking about the balance of the game and how the Warden Navy right now feels a lot more well-rounded and complete, as to the Collies is more getting there. And he also brought up the fact of in the dev stream when the devs were like, the Warden gunboat is supposed to be better, and he's like, why would you ever say that to a community that's like gonna like rip you in half about that?
Oh
That's
man.
insane. And I've brought that up. I just every time someone brings up balance in my chat, I'm just gonna get a little button that plays that little clip, and just it's just gonna be a meme for me. But he brought up though that with the way submarines are now, like let's say it's really hard for collies to get, because we're a lot smaller regiments. Wardens are a lot bigger regiments, that play together. Collies have a
Yeah.
really tough time manning a boat, right? And collies really don't do community boats as well, as it's what I've seen. And he said, like, when you have a op plan for Friday night, right? And you get everyone 9 p.m. on, you drive out maybe an hour if you're driving from Red River out to get to where you're maybe actually might not even get a fight unless you're going to go land bombard. And you get hit by a torpedo that was camping there. Now you have to drive an hour back and a
Mhm.
4 hour repair. And you've just
Yep.
completely ruined that whole weekend op. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, that's it. That boat's done. There's no. That's a really weird mechanic that's never been in the game before, where something's just decommissioned for. I mean, God forsake, you can put a super heavy in a garage and repair it for 100 BMATs and get it brand new armor,
Yep.
and then you have the boats that are like, nah, it's 4 hour repair, dog. That's nuts. I do think that is a weird part of Navy. Um, I also think Navy. It's collies sleep on it, but at the same time, I understand why. The collies boats are a little. I wouldn't say harder to use. I just think having a submarine longer than a fucking destroyer is harder to use than a submarine that's, compact. Trying to swim through those channels, and
Yeah.
that's hard. But I definitely. How would you change though toward like submarines? Because before this change to submarines, where the big holes were implemented, submarines were dog shit because they didn't really do anything to boats, and they just they just walked it off. And
Yeah.
now it almost feels like they did the pendulum swing where it's too much. How would you like a submarine to engage a boat to be effective, but not completely take it out of the fight?
Um. So dude, when you were just talking earlier about like how much of a pain in the ass it is to get hit by the torpedoes, you have that large hole and then you have to fucking repair it for X number of hours. Like it's just pure troll, is what it was, and that's what we were doing when we were in our submarine. We would hit like warden frigates and then just peace out, and it's like, well, they're fucked, dude. They have to go back.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it
over.
doesn't matter if we can't kill them. Yeah, like they're out of commission for the next X number of hours, and we can just come back out here once they go back to repair. But I think that goes to kind of what needs to be fixed, and it's the fact that it's just not fun. Like the devs' vision for almost everything takes out fun in favor of uh dude, it's so even I can't even like I'm trying to put myself into their shoes of what the rationale is, and I almost want to say it's because everything has a weird balancing act in Foxhole, and they're constantly trying to balance also like time commitment. Like the best way to grow Foxhole in their mind, keep people playing the game. So that means you have to make wars longer, takes more time to build shit. Maybe going back to what you were just saying, right? About it takes, hours for you to repair the toy that you just spent hours to make. So you come back to the game to go play with that thing again. And it's not fun. I think they need to revert a lot of stuff. Like one thing that comes to mind for Navy is God, dude, I've been harping on the fucking Iron Ship movement, how they switched it from the old to the
Yeah,
new,
dude,
and
everyone.
that's like it's literally incarnate like a decision that they made that gets rid of the fun. Not I guess fun. It gets rid of the speed factor to make it so it takes longer for you to do whatever the fuck you're trying to do. Like,
Hmm.
how do you promote public logi by making it harder to do public logi? It doesn't make any sense. So I think they need to look at everything again, revert the changes that aren't fun, take away from fun, and honestly just make Bayonetta a one shot kill again. That's the main crux of the issue.
I love the little shot of the bayonet in there. We're talking Navy. You're like, make one shot
Yeah.
bayonets. This is bullshit. Like, that's awesome.
They take everything from me, man. They took away the white whale, and I was having fun. I was making content for that left and right. Then they take away the bayonet, and I was gone like 17 player kill streaks. You know, it's not
Oh
even Call
yeah.
of Duty, but I'm tallying that up. No, we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna take it away. I'm like, what am I gonna do,
I
dude?
mean,
What am I
dude,
gonna do to have fun?
it blows my mind though. And I guess the reason they did it is because they're playing so much with Anvil Empires. You know, they want it to be more like, dumb as it is, they want it to be more like an Anvil style PvP. Like, you can block with the little dagger and hammer against a bayonet and shit. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, we're not playing medieval. Like, if I had a saber, I could see, like, you know, deflecting a bayonet, but a little, like, dagger and shit, like, you're not, like, I don't know, dude. I just, I think it would be fun to have the one hit bayonets back, but instead of one hit bayonets, I would like to see one hit daggers and one hit clubs and keep bayonets the way they
Oh
are.
yeah, for sure.
I want to see that
Yeah, yeah.
dagger
I
in
mean
the
that makes
trenches
sense.
just, you know what I mean, dude?
Yeah.
There's a movie scene, and I don't know what it's from, but they're in no man's land, and it's World War One, and they're all like, the Germans and the Brits are like, you know, we'll get shot the shit out of if they do guns, and so
Mhm.
they all agree to do melee. And a dude pulls out a billy club with spikes, and then a dude he lost his hand, he puts a fucking like Captain Hook on, and it's just a spike, and they just have a melee out in the middle of, you know, no man's land. Can you imagine, dude, having the heavy armor warden Billy Club just out there clunking heads, dude, in a trench?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That'd be awesome.
you know,
Have
and
you
the
played Anvil Empires? Like, did you have access to that or no?
yeah, I got access. It was weird enough. I didn't play it. Something came up that I was playing, but I did get on for one day, and I fucked around with a spear, and I chucked a spear at someone, and then I had a horde of little dudes like shoot me down with arrows, and I hopped off. But I did have fun in like the 20 minutes I played with the spear
Yeah.
chucking. I felt like a little Indian tribesman, you know, just chucking spears. There was like four of us out there. It was fun.
I wish it was longer, man. I was so hyped to like dedicate this whole week to just
Hmm.
Anvil Empires and like do an in-depth like review on that shit. And like after the third day and like the war ended, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? What did I accomplish? All I did was make a fucking Hamlet with the boys. I tried doing a raid with my neighbor. Neighbor spent maybe 2 hours prepping for this raid, and it's like a fucking single player's Hamlet. I'm like, dude, we just need torches. What are we doing? Why are we spending hours doing this? And then he got mad. He got mad at me. He's like, Gremblo, I don't think this is worth our time. Why are we raiding this? I'm like, I didn't want it to be worth our time. I just wanted to fucking try a raid, dude.
I wanted to
just,
fuck this
I,
guy
like,
up,
you're
man.
out here. This guy, I've never seen him before, but this guy wanted to make defense. First of all, he wanted us to make a camp, and I was fine with that. But then he wanted us to make walls and defenses around this camp. I'm like, dude, this isn't like a town we're fucking sieging. It's a hamlet. And
We're going to raid peasants. Vikings
was-
didn't make camp to raid peasants, bro. Come
right,
on.
right, and it's already 2 hours in to this raid. I was ready to go in 30 minutes, and he's like, no, we should make defenses just so we don't get our shit fucked in. I'm like, I'm
Soiled.
out, dude. I'm just running down there. So I raid the guy's hamlet, take all the valuables, put it in my fucking caravan, and I pass by the guy. And I'm like, yeah, there's more stuff in there. Go for it. There's nothing in there. He's like, this is all lame. Like, boohoo, and then I just take everything and run. I'm like, fuck you, dude, I'm out.
Fucking, that's
But
bandits, dude. Were you friends with that dude that you were
yeah,
like with? Like, was he a part
never
of
met
your?
him. Never met
Yeah,
him.
fuck you, bro.
Nope.
This is.
Just just a random guy. I felt kind of bad because he got raided the day before, and he kept saying how he
Oh,
wanted to try out the horses, and I rolled in with a horse, and I told him I'd get
oh,
him one.
never did,
But
dude.
then my spare one died. So,
Tough luck in medieval times,
but
dude.
yeah, man.
My
I mean,
horse.
overall, it was pretty fun, but I just I didn't try enough of the combat, and we didn't get a chance to siege anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
sucks.
thing I'm worried about with that combat, and like you already kind of see it in Foxhole, like when you have like really big regiments together, are you going to be able to have like a 15-man team stop the equivalent of 82 DK in their like, you know, like medieval numbers? That doesn't work like that. You know, they're going to be able to
Yeah.
just dominate. So you're going to have really, you're going to have it like Foxhole, where if you don't work together, these big groups are going to literally, you're going to be their vassals, dude. You're going to do whatever they say, and if you don't, they're going to come knock your walls down. Like, that's what
I think it makes it more important because, like, you're right. It makes it more important to cooperate in Anvil Empires over Foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's also because there's not a whole lot of content to address like larger, um, like raiding parties or just like
Oh.
kingdoms, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, people were talking about what's AI gonna look like in Anvil Empires. Are they gonna have like the AOE 2 like fucking watch or towers that shoot arrows at units nearby? Like, maybe I don't know.
It'll be sick,
But
though.
I feel like the best thing that could happen, it would be the best thing that could probably happen is like, your larger force fights the even larger force, and then the smaller ones just like flank or whatever. Like, just flank, bro, is gonna be the mantra in Anvil Empires too, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how you win.
I would love. I'm not gonna lie. Me and my buddies were talking about this. I don't want to be a part of any big knight crew, you know, whatever. But I want to be a freelance, like mercenary group of like cavalry,
Yeah.
and only specialize in cavalry horse combat, and just be for hire, dude. Like you know, you give us like iron armor and swords and shit. Like we'll get all the horses. We'll be horse tamers, and then we'll just ride in for your, you know, fights or whatever, and be
Oh
roaming
yeah.
knight caravan. I don't know. That's LARP as shit, but I think it'd be so dope to be like a roaming squire of knights, dude. Oh, no, roaming knights with squires. Oh, that'd be so badass. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Anvil is gonna be really cool. I think when it first releases, Foxhole better have some cool ass updates when they release that shit, because I feel like the player base for Foxhole is gonna not dwindle, but I think it's gonna definitely be quote unquote the funny break war style. You know, there won't be as many players. 'Cause I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people are really gearing up for Anvil.
I'm probably gonna be switch. I'm gonna switch full time, dude. I don't think I'm gonna do Foxhole after Anvil comes out, depending on like what's actually released and what's in the game. Um, maybe it's just because it's like new. But when we were playing, like I had my regiment kind of take a week break wherever I had access, and we were just like hours and hours and hours just goofing off. It was like actually fun,
Breath of fresh
and I
air kind
uh
of thing.
I like the Logi in that more. Yeah, exactly. Um, but after you've played a game like Foxhole for so many years and you see all the fucking um, chinks in the armor, pun intended, although it's not Anvil anyway.
Oh, I know what you mean
It's just
though.
not fun anymore.
Yeah. Oh, and the other problem that I do think the Foxhole devs and Siege Camp do a really good job with their games. The one problem I have with Siege Camp, I've always had it, they're not transparent with their updates, and like they're not very transparent
Mm.
with like talking to the community and why they're doing such things. And there's not really a connection between the community and the devs. It's very like cut off, and you just see people make rage bait posts on Reddit, and then you have people like me and you who like cared and want to talk about things, and kind of just don't want them to do what we want, but we want to kind of veer it to make the game a better gameplay. And like, I've never even got to talk to a dev. I've emailed them. I've tried to do support tickets to try to like any time to just like talk to them. Never got a word to any of these devs, and I feel like that's the biggest. That's the biggest issue, you know. And it feels like a very like secret society that gets to talk to them. Like I know Cronus has talked to the devs before. I know people like Moydog have talked to the devs personally and stuff. And it's like, I don't know what you need to get into that special cult group. I won't call them a cult, but you know what I'm saying? There's no connect between the devs. Like, I wish there was just a better place, except for one time every 3 months that we get to talk in a Q&A on Reddit over the patch, and it's only exclusive to the patch. They don't talk about any other game balance stuff. It's only what's in the patch in the Q&As. And that's the only time you really get to talk to devs, and I think that's really weird.
I think it's like a couple things, right? Like the first one, which is the more immediate one, right, is like they just have to flat out like you, and if they like you, you know, they'll respond. And then the second one is I'm right there with you, Burke. But they I mean, I think they just give more time to larger creators, which, you know, that makes sense. Every company does that. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not walking around like I like I can reach out to them and they'll respond to me. I've tried. They don't. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. You can't make them respond. I also just understand where they're coming from by not responding as much or being as transparent, because I've heard so many different stories and seen it kind of firsthand too. I mean, I remember, when was it? Like shortly after Facilities, just the mass outrage. I remember people waiting for the next dev stream, and I was going in with a sense of dread. Like, these guys are going to get absolutely raked over the coals because everyone hates Facilities right now. And they luckily didn't, because sorry, Foxhole community, I'm going to say it. You guys kind of have the memory of Shrimp, because you're like, new update, shiny new things. I don't give a fuck about everything else. I just want the new toys. It happened with Navy. It happened with Facilities. And it's gonna happen with the Air update.
100%.
It's gonna, and everyone's gonna just be like, "Oh, beautiful new thing is here." And then once it comes out, it's like it's not gonna be good, or it's gonna be like it's not gonna meet expectations. Is what I mean. Not everyone's like this.
People are expecting
enough people are.
War Thunder,
people are.
People are expecting like
What?
War Thunder. Dude, they're expecting like War Thunder and shit. I'm like, dude, expect submarine gameplay with dog shit mechanics that's busted and broken. And it's going to take a long time for it to be... Who knows what balance is going to be? Like, God forbid, like, what is that going to shake into the balance? But, I mean, gameplay-wise, the only thing you can accumulate this thing to is a submarine. Not only that, but people also aren't considering this. If a plane hits the ground, there's no collision in Foxhole. They have to add collision for planes to hit the ground. So that means if you start hitting other trucks with your trucks, you're going to start taking damage with collision.
Oh, you're saying there's no collision that causes damage?
When you jump a tank off of a cliff, it doesn't take any damage, right? When you hit a truck into a truck, it doesn't take damage. Planes are going to have that mechanic. Otherwise, there'll be no point in a landing strip. You can just land it, repair it, and then package it up and take, you just crash dive it every time. Yeah. So you're going to have to add a collision type system in Foxhole. At least, thinking about it, all perspective, we don't know anything about it. If that isn't in the case and you can just crash dive your plane when it's hurt to repair it or get it out of the fight to save it, you'll never...
Yeah.
You have to add collision, because if you don't, they're just going to always get a gimme. They'll just dive on the ground. And unless you have bombs to nail it, okay. Like, they got it to the ground. Like, there's not, that's going to be a really hard thing to think about. People aren't thinking about collisions. People also aren't thinking about realistically flying in the air and not hitting each other. People are also not thinking about, like, air traffic control. Like, there's going to have to be real ATC, because if you're taking off and landing, you're going to have people, like, monitor that shit. That also means that they're going to have a radar system to watch airplanes in the sky. There's a lot of things that are going to really add up into this. And they also did say, Keezer brings up a valid point in the chat here, they did say you're going to need some skill to fly. So that also insinuates if you hit the floor, much like a crash depth. Oh, what if they do a crash depth system? That doesn't make sense, though, with a plane, but I don't know. That's, I guess, one way they could nerf that style of play. If you go down too quickly, I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff to consider with that, you know.
Yeah, and they're doing a good job of keeping it hush hush and not really like kind of, which I don't know if that's a good job or a good thing. I think you kind of do want the community's input on something like that, because again, look at what happened with the Navy update. They came out with sub for one faction, destroyer for the other, and people were upset about that. And they acknowledged, to their credit, like, we're not going to do that again for any other future updates where like one faction gets half of it. But like, my main thing is, like, okay, so we have similar perspective in infantry, tanking, naval. What's the camera going to look like for air, and what's the camera going to look like for anti-air too? Like, how am I going to see an airplane up in the air, and how am I going to shoot it down with like an AA gun? Or is it just going to be AI, and that's the only thing that can, shoot planes out of the sky? And if you're in a plane, right, and you're trying to like shoot at things at the ground level, how is that going to look in your perspective? Like, is it going to be a first person thing or what? I don't know.
I think I always revert to subs, because that's the only vertical, like, not horizontal plane we have in the game at the moment. And that's all with a radar system and pinging and getting somewhat of someone communicating, say, azimuth, distance, dot, boom, and then you shoot torpedo at X amount. Much like Arty is the same thing. You can't see it, but you hit it. So something that I'm thinking is going to need to happen is, theoretically, this is something that could be a possibility. This is all just literally just came off top of my dome. But you know how they have H6 keypad 5 on the map, right? So your grid zone, you'd have to be looking at your map and saying, we're going to be bomb zoning grid zone keypad 3, and that's your aiming point. And then your distance and azimuth as you're going down, as you're looking at the map, looking at it. When you're dropping bombs, we're over target, start dropping, or you have to start dropping at keypad 1 to hit keypad 5, or with your, you do it hexagon to hexagon, and that's how you do for bombing, maybe. And then you also look at, for air to air and air to ground, God knows. Like, I have no clue how the hell that's going to work.
Nobody's going to know. Yeah.
The only thing I can think is, when you pull out the dumbass, like, dry dock as a infantry and you get that big-ass zoom out, maybe they'll just give you a huge-ass zoom out that only sees the sky and your gun, and your crosshair is going to be floating in the sky, and maybe you have to do, like, Shift F when you're in the emplacement guns, because the emplacement guns are going to be the AA, like the entrenched EMGs and shit. Maybe you have to do like Shift T or Shift F and it AA, and then it brings you up to where you can't see the floor anymore, but you can only see X amount high, and maybe planes can only fly about X amount high unless they're in a landing mode. Maybe that's how they do it, and you can only see the sky at that point, and it becomes kind of a 2D kind of game where you're just seeing like the side of the plane fly and shit. I mean, that's the only guess I could have, really, like, again, but I also see your point. How are you going to differ where they're going left and right? On a 2D plane, they can't go horizontally and vertically, or they can't go horizontally. It's only vertical. So that's holy shit, like, I can't even imagine. I don't know how they'd implement that.
I feel like they're gonna do this with the Air update because they did it for Navy, where they invite some of the creators to kind of just like play it
If you're
and
watching
do
this, Dad,
videos.
me and Gremblo, I'm pushing that little. You know what I'm saying? I can keep
Look,
a
if you guys
secret,
want
bro.
us to recreate, you guys want us to recreate Japanese fighter pilots
Dude,
diving into
bro.
anything, we can do it.
Um, have you ever watched that
And better
Family
yet,
Guy
don't even
episode
tell which one.
where the Quagmire's the pilot? He's like, I'm feeling some ancient something in my
Oh yeah,
veins,
yeah.
and then he's like, and then he just,
He just starts screaming in
yeah,
Japanese.
bro.
Yeah, it's so good.
I don't know, dude.
No, it'd be cool. It'd be cool if they didn't, and like, okay, they invited everyone, right? And they didn't tell half the creators about the other half that are joining, and they just did like a surprise attack or some shit and get some genuine reaction
Whoa,
to get
dude,
fucking surprised
dude.
like that.
So
That'd be cool. But
if
who
they're
knows?
testing AA on a boat, they have a few little guys, kind of score, and then they have the Imperial Japanese Army coming over the horizon.
Yeah,
And they all start diving in, torpedoes flying everywhere. Oh, that'd be awesome. I hope. I can
exactly.
only LARP, dude. I can't help it, man. I love the LARP, dude. I can only imagine when there's like 10 bombers over your base, you're going to be shitting your pants, screaming like you're just boom, 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 and you're just cracking the AA as best you can. Oh, it's going to be so sick.
Oh yeah,
Oh, what do
I'm
you
hyped
think?
for it.
What do you think about paradroppers, though? Paratroopers. How do you think that shit's going to work?
I mean, it makes sense if they have bombers that instead of drop bombs, they just drop people. I don't know how it's going to work with like capacity. I mean, I guess it would be somewhere close to like a bus. Just basically think of it like a battle bus, but on in the air with wings. I feel like that
Well,
could work.
so me and Bone are really like everyone's gonna go air. We all know that this is gonna be the air war whenever.
100%.
But Bone really wants to specialize in like when air comes out, being an air regiment kind of thing. Not strictly, but that's what we want to
Yeah.
do a lot of. And we're really deep diving in on the 3D models that we get for that are already in the bed and the colonial, because that's the only troop transport we've seen. It looks like it's going to be able to land on water. It has the
Mm.
same thing at the front of the plane that's on the colonial gunboat, the little wave. It just keeps waves from coming up on top. And it also has a lot of both engines are very up high on the boat on the plane, and the back tail fin, like it looks like it's not a tail fin, but on the bottom of the boat it's like that like a keel hole at the very bottom of the boat. It looks like it's supposed to be able to land on water, and so what we're thinking is those are going to be Airbuses for like naval landings. So you have a long hook on the water. You're going to be able to land that thing right beside there, get 10 air troopers, and then hike up back to the sky, drop wherever you're dropping. And I do think there's going to be water landing aircraft. I if that the model inspires it. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily that's what it is, but the model definitely looks like it will be able to land in water. And that will also be
Mm.
like I don't know how good it'd be for partisans to be able to land instead of having to drop, but depending on how much cargo you can have in there, like partisans could theoretically have explosives in the plane, land at a discrete location, swim, or have, I don't know how they would do it, but maybe get on land and, you know, do their explosives, walk away, come back, fly out. Um, so I don't know. I don't know how that ties in, but it does look like the Kali troop transport, and that might be both sides, but at least it was Kalis that were dropping from it. So might be able to
I
find
feel
that.
like with the air update, they gotta make a change to the encampment. Instead of it being CV built, it's built with a hammer. And I don't know. I never understood why they made it that way.
You ever played
But
Hell Let Loose?
yeah,
You know the spearhead or the spawn head or whatever that the commander can drop, and the whole team can spawn on it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
What
like
if
a rally.
what if they dropped something like that with like maybe
That'd be nice.
20, 30 shirts? That's just like a small crate or something with a little radio antenna and whatever, and so you could spawn 20 times just with that one drop or whatever.
They really need to do a partisan update, man. Like something geared like that where there are structures, items purely meant for like behind enemy lines type gameplay.
Mm-hmm. I really
That'd be
think
so cool.
I really think this airborne update could really incentivize doing partisan stuff, and not like going and killing a BT on a pad partisan stuff. I mean, like if you're doing an operation in Fairnack Coast or whatever, going and blowing the bridge to Bonehaft back there with some demolition, so you can like cut off their resupply as your army's pushing in from the front there. Doing stuff like killing bridges like that, although it is LARPy, could actually have real benefit to your team, Oddball, don't Oddball from chat.
They'll be crap compared to the Warrens.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You know what's gonna happen. Honestly, all right, let's talk about that for a second. What the fuck were they think? Like, okay, I know people have said it. Devs need a community manager type person who can talk about all these things in a very PR type lens. And 100% after that, they definitely need to invest in somebody who can deliver these updates in a
non-biased
exciting, thoughtful, and non-biased way. Like, why would you flat out say, yeah, we're just going to artificially make one faction stronger than the other in this area? And it's like, that defeats the whole purpose of, like, my view of the vision, which is you are having two sides that essentially have very similar guns, maybe different looks, but they can still beat each other. Like infantry can beat infantry, tanks can beat tanks, and so on and so forth. There's not one side that would have an advantage over the other just because they happen to be blue or green or whatever.
Okay, so we're gonna...
Why are you so racist, Dubs? Anyway, go ahead.
Why do you hate the green man? So we're gonna talk about balance. There are a few things that I really, much like you said, I do think a PR or a manager for the community needs to be a thing. But there was the old rumor of there are more devs that like creating Warden or the Warden aesthetic more. They like building stuff for the Wardens. That should have never been said to the community, because there are diehard collies that I hear still talking about that. And that was like 2 to 3 years ago. This new comment that was made on the last dev stream, that's fucking horrible to do to your community, because as 50% of your community, if it was like a small little markup of your community, like 10%, 5%, but you're talking about half your community you just shit on. Like, and there's not a nice way to say it.
I think it's less.
Well, it is. It's
like, do you think...
No, it's 10% less off top, just off numbers that we've seen. That's probably not even true. It's probably way less. It's probably like... What's sad is... Okay, all right. This is a whole spiel I have on my theory. Not theory. I don't know what the fuck to call it. My guess on what this is. So, I remember back in the day, when I first joined was 94. And I was told that the Cullies had the really, like, loving, cool community that was really cool to new players and really brotherly, and because we had to work together to beat their OP shit. And then the Stygian Bolt came out. And we went on a 6-war win streak. Outright, flat out, 6 wars in a row. And that was about 3 to 4, maybe 6 months. No, it was 6 months of gameplay that was really shitty for the Wardens to deal with. And then the STD came out. And I forget which war that STD came out, but if you could check that for me, chat, that'd be fucking sick. The point that I'm trying to make is everyone was saying that the collies work so well together and we're so hive-brained and we're so brotherly and so, or, you know, camaraderie. It was so badass to be a collie. And then around right when War 100, right after we got that big heroic victory, right at 100, you felt a snap. And it felt like a lot of wardens or a lot of collies switched to the warden side to try it out. And there's a lot of mix matching of regiments that were loyalists switching sides. And then since War 100, can you tell me, it's War 122, can you tell me how many wars we have won in 21 wars?
I think we won like what, 8?
You're on the fucking ball. That was perfect. That was the perfect. It's 8, and they.
I don't have a
13.
problem, chat. I don't have a problem.
That's
I'm definitely
nuts.
not playing Foxhole too much.
That's nuts that you know that though, because that's a funny statistic. They've won 13 to our 8, and that's a 2-year. People always talk about the pendulum swing balance, where it'd be like a 5-war, 3-war, 2-war pendulum swing with balance. The collies have had a 2-year downward spiral of a pendulum swing. And if I were to guess, we're probably gonna win this war. If I, can't say it too early, they can fucking win 30-31 wars, but it's really crazy because we have such a low player base. Our gear, like, to be fair, a lot of us in Bones say that we haven't got a really good update until the Nemesis came out. The collies haven't had, like, a really solid update since the Nemesis came out. And
that shit's getting nerfed, dude. You know it. You know it's gonna happen.
It's already happened. It literally is already getting nerfed when the next war, it's going from a 20% disable to a 30% disable. They, like, 2 wars, they switched it. That's the fastest nerf I've ever seen to a tank in this game. They immediately after 2 wars restrict that, and it's just weird to me when you look at the balance of the game and the player population each side. There's not a lot of incentives right now to play as a colonial. Like, when you look at the colonial side, what do you think's really cool to play on our side?
If I had to say, probably some of the infantry guns, but even then, I'd probably still pick Warden over that.
So
like,
my
I
point
like
is,
the Dusk. I like the Ignifist, even though people meme on the Ignifist, but I like it. It's great.
I think Ignifist is
great
good.
Shotgun.
Yeah, it's really good at killing infantry. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
You can face pop people immediately, especially when they're in a trench and you have them right at that max distance where at HE. Amazing. Love that. When I'm side on, like direct side on with a tank, and I'm like 5 meters from it and I bounce, undescribable.
I want to kill myself.
Dude,
yeah.
In game he wants to.
In game,
yeah. In Minecraft, PG-13 is going to YouTube, so you gotta in Minecraft. Anyway, point being though, yeah, it fucking blows. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's so. There's nothing that inspires people to want to go collie other than the aesthetic of what they look like. And to be honest, like, I can get people would want to go to the aesthetic of the Wardens. They like the French kind of Germanic kind of thing. When you go to, like, what do the Wardens bring to the table? A really badass navy that's really well put together and literally the strongest tanks in the game. They have a ultimate win button in tank gameplay with their super heavy every time. They can MPF, like, just, I don't even need to get into all the numbers, but their tanks are just fucking miles ahead in tank killing potential. Artie's in a really weird spot. It's just really hard to get people to want to come as a collie. Like, that's the bad way to put it, because we used to be the infantry spam, we used to be Boma spam, we used to be, we dominated the infantry game. They've really restricted that over the past few wars. And even when they started nerfing the Boma, we had the ballistas. We could go smash concrete that were MPFable. They've restricted that now, and it's like when you start They've restricted our PvE tremendously. The only thing you would want to come be a collie for is the Tremola and the Lanier. That's literally the only
Which they
thing.
also kind of nerfed too, dude. Because like we would do Lunaire spams with get Green Ash, and then they nerfed the Green Ash.
And so when you
So
just
it's like,
start literally pulling every great thing away from us, and like then the whole problem is like, well, then what are they starting to do to the Warden tanks? All right, well, they took away the MPFable Outlaw, but for that, they gave him a 20% high velocity on it, and they gave him a new tank to boot, which is really good support for the Outlaw lines. And it's just really good spam. And the
which they
Brigand
don't do
sucks.
for the collies, dude. Like you were just saying, sorry to cut you off, but you were just saying how like they're gonna make the Nemesis go back, not back, but they're gonna have it disabled rate
They
at
don't
30%.
give any swap.
Why not give it a 45? Yeah, they don't do that. Like, why not give it a 45-meter range then if you're gonna do that? They don't do that. They're just gonna nerf, and that's it.
Yeah, they don't, and that's the thing right there. And the other thing that Cronus was talking about, and what's so bullshit in the game, when you take a control group of 10 people and give them X equipment, and then give them X equipment, and then do 10 tests to see how effective they are, the group that with 10 that can be more effective is gonna win, whether it's only by a margin of 5 to 10%. Theoretically better. Over time, that grows into being such a burnout, and that's what kills people's gameplay. It's just so many small things that they just fuck. It all just takes 1%. It's 1% that they get better, or one little buff that they get, like. And I'm not saying I strictly want collies to be dominant, but I, as a collie, and I will say I've only played collie, but me as an outsider taking away all bias of the situation and looking at it fully, we're losing more wars consistently. The updates are not going our way. And there's no horizon for this nerfing. And the other side is only getting the ups, right? And so it's just really weird to me, the balance gameplay in it. And that's the sad part of that's the thing that I want to talk to the devs about most. And I'm sure they don't want to hear everyone's fucking opinion on it, because everyone's going to be, well, this is bullshit, and they don't really have valid numbers or look at but the thing is, I have 3,000 hours in the game, and I know people have more than me. But when you play it for that many hours, you're right. You said it exactly. You see the chinks in the armor, and it becomes such a bad repetitive playlist over and over and over again, where as a collie, why would we make a super heavy? It's going to get fucking demolished. Our super heavy's a joke. And almost like, that's just the best example. The super heavy indifference is fucking insane. I can't fathom how they thought that was balanced. Like, I guess 75 can PvE, but that fucking Warden super heavy is literally a cheat code, dude. Like, it moves backwards faster tracked than RBT going forward.
Yeah, I don't even like the argument of 75 PvEs is such a that's like you try to be so charitable with
that's what I'm saying, bro. They're fucking cherry picking that so
Could you imagine?
Hard. That's what I'm saying.
Seeing Ares on the front line and shooting concrete with the 70. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Like, that's what I'm saying, bro. And it's like, you have so many other options that are better for PvE. Our fucking tanks are supposed to be tanks, bro. They're not supposed to be, we have siege assault cannons with the ballistas, which also they fucking nerfed putting them as, I'm not going to get into that. Just never mind. It's bullshit. Compared to the chieftain,
they got to give us more infantry siege.
Well, and that's funny enough you say that. They're giving us that push 250 with 30-meter range.
Yeah.
I don't know how well a push gun is going to be for sieging. If anything has ATGs,
Nothing, it's gonna be shit.
Well, if it has ATGs on it, you're fucking cooked. And the whole idea is, a lot of us are talking about doing sandbag pushes where you set a sandbag line up and shoot over the thing. That can work, but the problem with a fucking sandbag wall is it's a two-edged sword. They have cover to come up to it, and then you have cover from whatever's on the other side. That's why trenches, for new guys, if you're watching this, you need to put barbed wire on one side and sandbags on the other to make it a one-way trench. Because if not, they're just going to take it over, and then they're using it against you, right? And I don't want the collies to be overpowered. I just want us to have a better fighting chance. And I think to be honest, this is really dumb to say, but I think it is true. I think they don't owe us an apology, but they should owe us a different stance on how the gunboat, like that gunboat comment, was fucking dumb. I think that shit on, let's say, even 30% of the player base, if we're being honest, maybe 40, if we're being generous. I think that was really shitty to do to your collie tryhards. You know what I mean? And for someone that switches, it's whatever. But the collie tryhards, like, that was kind of poop. And I don't know how many of those we get.
I like going back to what's fun, but like, things that we used to have taken away, nerfs and all that. I remember like I think it was pre-War 100 or right around War 100, back when we still had the satchel charges. Like that was a fun way to do, I guess, quote unquote sieging. And I remember me and a buddy would just like grab some fucking alligator charges, go to border bases that are lightly defended, pop them, go to bunker bases lightly defended, pop them. Like you'd only need like, I think, what was it, 3 or 4 for a border base?
It was 4. Yeah, I remember.
And you could carry maybe 2 before you were encumbered. So like, again, I understand that it takes X number of people more to build a base and whatnot, and it's not fair if only 2 people with fucking 4 alligator charges destroy it. But like, dude, it's so much more fun. What are you talking about? Like, and also it makes it so you need to have people protecting and guarding these valuable structures. If you don't do it, they're gonna get destroyed. Go to like any BT pad or whatever, and if it's slightly defended, you're gonna get yelled at by your neighbors or whatever.
Well, and that's the whole ordeal. Is that's kind of the catch-22 with it, right? You're talking about how, these guys can't get AI up quick enough and shit. But once that AI is concreted and fucking really stout and really defended, those 2 little guys can't do shit to that anymore, right? So it's that catch-22 of, yes, you are on the down foot when it's in low baby phase, but when you are up top, concrete AI with, howitzers and the, what is that watchtower? Intel bunker or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, like, no one's getting near your base, and if they do, they're gonna get pulverized. Like, and so that's kind of the catch with it, and I don't know, man. I just think a lot could be changed if you had an unbiased person walk in and look at the situation. Someone that doesn't know anything about it, and you lay out all the parameters for both sides, like list out everything. And like, I think people would see, one side's not having fun right now. They can. And like, obviously I still have fun in Foxhole. I wouldn't play it if I didn't. I think the Nemesis is probably the best thing they've added in Foxhole since, I don't even know when. That's like literally my favorite thing to play in. Like, it's really good. So I give them credit for that. I enjoy playing that. But again, what you have to go up against all the time and the balance of it, winning is not everything. The funnest wins I've ever had was actually losing. Losing my battleship in, I forget which war we were in, that was the funnest I've ever had in Foxhole, was losing my battleship in a battleship fight. It was 3 ships on 1. But we went down like swinging. We almost killed one. We killed concrete, and we helped kill Port of Rhyme. We killed 2 concrete bases and hussed it before we went down. But we went down swinging. That was a fucking blast. You know what I mean? That was fun. It was expensive loss, but we had a blast, dude. It was so good. That you can have fun losing, but it was at least a fair fight because it was a battleship v battleship, which is quote unquote the most balanced sub or naval thing in the game. Then you had to top it, they had a frigate, and then they had like a gunboat we destroyed. We almost killed the frigate. And then that frigate we almost killed got ran down by one of our subs and died. And that battleship had like 3 smokestacks, and then like I said, we killed a bunch of shit. It was a really cool battle, and it was like really fun, but we lost. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we lost a battleship. They only lost a frigate, but it was like, you know what I mean? That type of stuff, I can have fun losing. I can't have fun when it's like a fucking hydrogen bomb hitting a coughing baby. You know what I mean? Like when shit's just like outright. That's what Civvy always says, and it's just a phrase that caught on. But when it's just blatantly one-sided, that's not fun. And I think that's something they really need to start honing in on, is letting both sides have a chance in the engagements, you know? And I just don't feel like that's it right now. But you said you're going Warden. Do you feel like the game right now, truthfully, because I didn't even ask you this, do you feel like the game's balanced right now?
Do I think it's balanced? No. Do I think what I think is the major difference that I've seen going Warden last war, Kali. I think mainly I've been a Kali player, but you know, I think when I first started Fox, I was playing as Warden. Again for the aesthetic and the drip, but the morale for Wardens in every war is much higher than Kali's. Even when Kali's are winning, the morale is still high on the Wardens. Like there's no like, oh, this is bullshit talk, or oh, you know, fuck this, like this exploit, whatever. Like there's none of that in the world chat. There's none of that like when I'm at a front line. Everyone is just focused on winning the battle. Everyone is just focused on like, what do we need to push them back or like get space, whatever it is, and everyone's just working together. On the Kali side, maybe it goes into the not quality of player, but like the type of player, like new versus veteran. I mean, we already know, right? Like most veterans play on Warden side, so they are a more well-oiled machine. They know what they're doing. So there's less like growing pain and like the fucking pain of being on the front line. And the amount of times this happens, dude, oh my God, like people parking their trucks right behind the tank line. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're gonna get these tanks killed. Just get the fuck out of here. Like, I appreciate the fuel support and the tanks or the tank support in general, but like, you don't need to be on my ass. There's nothing like that on the Warren side, but they take it to I guess an extreme. So you know that's why that's not the case. So I think perspective and morale is what makes one faction win like those 30-31 wars and makes the Collies ultimately lose after like we lose a certain point or like the Wardens push past a certain point. But yeah, generally it's not balanced.
I do think morale and what I was talking about earlier and what Kronos talks about earlier ties into exactly what you said. And I think almost every veteran that actually looks at the true balance of the game would agree. It's like you don't really care if you lose a tank on the front. Like that's not really like a crushing blow or whatever. But when you go up over and over again and you have minimal success, or you like have, how do I put it? 2 privates on the Collies come up in a falchion, right? That's like the basic thing they would come up in, and that's in most stockpiles, storage depots. And 2 wardens come up in, I don't know, what's in most stockpiles, like probably an outlaw.
Yeah, or a Devitt, something like that.
You know, I would more than generally say the 2 Collies are going to have a worse experience going against a Warden tank line than 2 inexperienced Warden players going against a Collie tank line. I think it's way...
Dude,
You know what I'm
Go
saying,
ahead.
though? Well, what I'm trying to get at is, like, I see a lot of, like, privates and sergeants getting in a falchion, and they go up to, like, a collie or warden tank line, and there'll be, like, 3 or 2 HCDs that instantly drop them to 33 HP if they both pen. And, like, they immediately don't understand because they just bounced on an HCD, and they just got fucking obliterated. Like, they don't understand why that is. Like, you don't, like, the other thing is, like, I feel like the wardens have to overextend to lose, and I feel like collies have to overextend to play. That's why it's really annoying to play as a collie, and it's way harder, I feel like, to tank as a collie. Like the Bardiche, you literally have to stick your neck out every time to go get your shots in.
Mm-hmm.
The Falchion is a 40 mil going against some of the best armors in the game, or they're outranged. Or if they both pin, they're usually out damaged. If you're talking about the, like, the Nemesis literally is the only saving grace right now to the collies because it's 40 meters 68 with Falchion health. It usually can pen most things, and if it can't, like, the Tremolas can go under the HCD because it's so slow. But, like, a basic sergeant and a, like, private isn't going to know that. But if you put a private, 2 privates in an HCD, like, granted, they're probably going to overextend themselves if they get tracked, XYZ, but they're going to be penning most of their shots and bouncing most of their shots in the head-on engagement, just in a forward line fight, which you would probably learn most. It's way easier to make a veteran on a warden tank line, in my opinion, than it is to make a warden or a collie veteran tank line. You know what I'm saying? It's way harder to make a good tanker on a collie than it is to make a good tanker on a warden. And so when you have that variable all the time, I'm not saying all of our shit sucks, but all of our shit, I think, has a higher skill gap. I think the Bardiche, if you can dive it in the right spot, can make tremendous plays, but it's very hard to know when that time is, and a lot of times it's not going to play out the way you think. I think also the Falchion, being 55 Armat tank, literally means nothing in an economy like today. You can buff out an MPF in 4 hours, warden or collie. You can go get the Armats for an MPF in 4 hours or less. So having a cheap MPFable disposable thing with no specialties doesn't work in today. You know what I mean? And that's another thing, economy. Killing tanks means nothing today. And so that's, I want you to go. I know I've been talking a long time, but I like, there's a lot to what I'm trying to say in this whole argument of balance. Teaching new players is harder, I think, in tanks for collies. And I think that the economy also benefits the warden specialized tanks. We're supposed to be the cheap spammable faction, but the game parameters don't allow us to be a spam faction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say that too. We definitely don't spam nearly enough than we need to.
But it's hard to spam it because, like,
Yeah.
let's theoretically even say that you had one full MPF of each side. You know, you have 25 Falchions versus 15 HCDs. Where are you going to fit that battle size? Where 25 Falchions can actually fit and not clog each other up. Where are you going to fit the 50 people that it needs to go in those Falchions? Now you have no infantry support in that front. The spammable doesn't really provide a very good benefit over the specialized.
Good point.
And
yeah, I was gonna say, so your start of the point, right, was of, like, between a collie tank line and a warden tank line, collies are not gonna have as much fun. And, like, the perfect example happened yesterday, which Oddball, you saw this happen, dude. This was fucking ridiculous. We go in, me and the boys, we bring up 2 Spathas. There's already 2 friendly BTs, and we have a T2 Bardiche against HTDs and, you know, outlaws, whatever else. We lose all the tanks. We lose every single fucking tank. 2 BTs, our Spathas, and that T2 Bardiche. We switch to me and the boys, 4 guys with stickies and Argonauts. We kill 3 tanks. In the Spathas, we didn't kill anything. But in the fucking Argonaut, with just, like, herder fucking driving behind the tanks and just throwing, we killed an HTD, a Devon, and an outlaw. It was like, bro, why the fuck are we tanking right now? It's so stupid.
Well, and this is what I'm talking about. It's like, And
Flatbed
what's
gang,
even
yeah.
crazier about the situation is they're getting another fucking rocket next war to kill our tanks even more effectively. They're getting an
Hell yeah,
APRPG.
dude. They need it.
They
They
need
need
it.
it, bro. What do you mean?
Well, and this is what I'm talking about. It's like they get 5 more meters of range. And they're like, fuck yeah. It's like, dude, you guys already have the bone saw, dude. That thing hits harder than the APRPG. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? You need 5 more meters to hit a way harder hitting rocket. Like, oh my fuck, dude. Like, like, it's just so fucking... Like, it literally, I might just spam in world chat, Collies don't use tanks, just play infantry, and we actually
100%.
might do fucking better. Like, I genuinely think we might do fucking better. I'm not even...
Build
like,
ATGs, just do infantry spam, and that's it. You win.
That's fucking nuts, though! And if they bring Artie in, though...
And actually, the Artie, if you bring Artie too, and you just track him, then you do the sticky rushes after a track happens, easy dub, dude. Easy dub.
We're starting the new Colonial Sticky Legion, dude. We're right here. We just forged, boom, on the anvil, bro. Right fucking there. Like, that's just nuts, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's fucking crazy. One side...
I think it's perspective, too, though, dude. Like, it's definitely... Again, go back to what I said earlier of, like, you know, morale, and the Wardens always view themselves as, like, they're going to win no matter what. So, if collies win, we need to snowball more with the mentality of like, yeah, you know, next war or next update, whatever it is, Wardens get more buffs, we get more nerfs, we still win. Like that just needs to snowball, dude. Like, how the fuck do you lose when your faction is literally the tank faction and you can literally just push everyone back? All you need is more infantry or anti-infantry, and you can easily counter the collies, but you don't do that. So,
I mean, it's just what we're gonna have to start doing. Like, and I do think. And I would like to see more competitive. You know, I do think the Wardens have a higher morale rate right now, much like we did back in the pre-100 war. They're doing exactly what we used to do. But the Collies aren't doing what the Wardens did and really started getting pissed off. We're just complaining a lot. You know, and, you know, to be fair in that regard... The Collies have never done a mass review bomb either that the Wardens
Which
did.
I was going to ask you. What'd you think about that? Do you think that's good for the health of the game? Do you think that's a valid way to, like, basically get the devs' attention?
Here's my opinion on this, and this is going to be really... I'll never get in that secret circle for saying what I'm about to say, but I think the devs... are being pushed over because they think the Collies have never done it before, and they know that, like, the quote-unquote higher standard, we won't. The Wardens got exactly what they wanted when they review bombed. They made it a rule that you couldn't review bomb, and I think the devs are more scared to put the nerfs they need to on the Wardens because they know the Wardens will review bomb them again. And I think a lot...
Was it Moydog that started that?
I think so. It was around that time.
Okay.
And that's why I call him Soy Dog, and he fucking quit the game after that too. Soy Dog, if you want to hop on this stream, definitely love to see you, but you don't play Foxhole anymore, so thanks for ruining our fucking game that we loved and leaving. Just saying. I don't want to start beef with him. He's a good dude. I actually watched a lot of his streams, but he fucking pissed me off when that whole epidemic happened. Oh my god, we were fucking so mad. I was in 104th at the time, and that's what we were like all fucking calling him because he raved and cried about the Igni, got it nerfed into the dirt, and then he went back to squad. And we're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you're not even playing this. I haven't seen him log on to Foxhole, and like, I don't even know if Spud's a clan anymore. I think they split.
I think they still are, but they're very small, and what's his name? Moydog only plays, like, I think the first week of a new war. It's definitely update wars, like, you know, the Navy update, he was back for that, but he doesn't really do that anymore.
So, I don't know. I think, I do think Charlie's a problem. As much as people think Charlie's a good thing for the game, I think it fucking...
Oh, shit, dude. You're getting canceled. All these hot takes. Fuck.
Yeah, I guess, dude. I don't know. To be honest, I love Charlie War. And I think it's good for the new players, but I think the majority of veterans that go on there just like to go seal clubbing and beat the shit out of new guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's a really bad environment. I think if they did Charlie to where if you are such a rank and below, you could get in. You know, maybe fucking captain and below can get into Charlie. But anything above that, slap that ass in the able, dude, because you're such a veteran, you should not be going and beating the shit out of little guys. That's personally my take on why I hate Charlie, because I hate that a fucking lieutenant general can go in there and just fucking seal club. I think that's not good for those guys learning, and I don't think it's good for that general because he just gets used to seal clubbing. That's why I don't like Charlie. I think Charlie's a good implementation, but I think it's not in a good spot. Let me be clear, you know. Again, that's just my whole take on it. I just don't think people should just go seal club. I hate that veterans can go in there. I think that needs to be a good spot for people to actually just go learn the mechanics. And if you never want to get out of fucking being a captain or whatever, you know, if you want to play in Charlie for the rest of your wars, all right, dude, like that's fine. But
as a baker bro, and you know, I started playing foxhole on Baker Shard. Like I understand why we have them, and I think we need them, especially when there's huge pop.
oh
like,
yeah,
the game can't support it. But yeah, I don't know. It's not helpful when you're just going in to purely just make yourself feel good for killing scrubs.
that's
but hey,
what I'm saying.
I mean, it's every video game's got that.
Yeah, but that's just what I'm getting at is like, I don't know. Sad as it is, I don't see the honor in fucking. There's no honor in this fucking video game. It's a fucking video game, you know. But I just don't see the fun in going and beating up like fucking scrubs. And I hate to call new players that, but like they are, bro. They don't know what gun goes where, and they don't know how to like retaliate to what they're doing as effectively as like a veteran would. Much like Wardens versus Collies right now. Just saying, like those guys are, but that's not really fair assessment though, because they're choosing to do that on the veteran scale, and these newer guys that are on able are also choosing to be on the veteran scale. So that's why I think.
See,
Charlie,
I've also seen players that they probably should stay on Charlie because of their habits, I guess is the right way to put it. Like I had a guy talk to me about how he refuses to go on able because he also thinks it's like a sweat fest, and I'm like, you know, in some regiments it is, and in some fronts it can be, and like it is what you kind of surround yourself by.
mm-hmm.
But like for me and the Gremlins were not like that, and you know, I extended him an invite, and he's like, you know, I might join, but I just want you to know, like, if I get in able, like the first thing I'm gonna do is like claim a field. I'm like, oh, don't do that. Come on, man.
Fuck.
He's like, no, I'm going to claim a field. And there's nothing that anybody can say because I can do it in Charlie and it's not an issue. Like, nobody gives a fuck. I'm like, man, if you claim a field and it ends up being shit, like, you understand that you're having such a big impact on your faction. I don't know. I kind of feel like a hypocrite because I have my stance on, like, intel leaking, and I don't really consider it a bannable offense. I don't think it's a big deal if you show your map. But I feel a certain way about people who like privatize an entire field, and it's like this is a resource that everyone needs in order to like literally do anything. And if you privatize it and kill people who try to use the field, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like that defeats the whole purpose of the game.
Hey, you're not gonna fucking be on 24/7 to harvest everything and use it all. You know, the stockpiles that ACA used to have blew my fucking mind. You'd see them release it right before the hex dropped, and it'd be like 40 Spathas, fucking every single tank in the game, and you're like, dude, we could have used this 2 hours ago and we probably would have bounced back. Like, that's insane, bro. Like, and then to also talk about what Oddball's talking about, when you start looking at their like decaying bunkers and decaying like shit like 3 weeks later, and it's like, really needed to claim and fight for that early war, dude, huh? You got your 3 weeks in and deuce the fuck out. Like, thanks, bro. That's real helpful. Like, I don't know. On one half, I get where regiments like WLL would want to claim fields, but again, they don't privatize it. They just want to have their defenses around it, and they're going to have all their dudes farming it 24/7. They have a little army of little just people that farm. But again, like, even Bone, we take fields, but we don't privatize shit. But we can't harvest everything to use. Like, all of our buildings, not all of them, like some of the ones like steel production and stuff, we try to like keep that away. But that's because that's the work we put in. But if you want to take shit from our Coke bins and stuff, if you take a bin of Coke, if you put a bin in, good. If you don't, we're going to fill it up anyway. So we don't give a shit. Like, we want to refine it for other people so they can just get in and out and get their shit done quicker, you know? But people that privatize, like, I know Bone's never been in this situation, but I've seen it where you'll get a whole hex to, like, bombard their shit and, like, foundation wipe them.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I think if you're going to try to privatize a field that's going to have an eternal respawn, you're an idiot. Like, you're just not, like, you don't understand the numbers, and you don't understand that you can't even use all that shit you're talking about. You don't have enough space in the map. You don't have enough, like, people. Like, there's just no way. And, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why if you're a player like that, I mean, I guess Charlie makes sense, man, because, like, fuck, dude, go at it, man. It's a sandbox. Go for it.
Yeah.
But enable, that ain't gonna fly, unfortunately.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. That's why I'm saying there needs to be. I want Charlie to be a place where that is more, like, doable. But I think if you come to Able, like, theoretically, I call that the A team. You know, and then you got the fucking JV with Baker Boys, and then you got the fucking 9th grade team with the Charlie. You know what I mean? That's really bad to call him that. But with the big wars, Charlie gets a little bit more serious, but even at that, you're still getting a lot of newer players. I think Charlie should be a place where veterans should not, sweaty-ass veterans should not be able to go in. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. And is that wrong for that person, you know, who purchased the game for me to say that? Yeah, it is, because it is a sandbox game and you purchased it. But at the same time, like, you got to protect newer players, and you got to understand, like, one person's or a few persons getting mad that they can't go bully the new guys, those are the people that you don't really care if they quit the game. If you can have a healthy influx of new players come from Charlie, really learn the game, and then eventually some of them switch over to Able and be solid motherfuckers, that's what you'd prefer over the shitheads that want to just go bully new guys and make them quit the game. You know what I mean?
I got a question for you. What type of player? It doesn't matter, like, what server, because it's applicable either way. But what type of player, like, really grinds your gears, like, just peeves you off the most? Whether it's something they do, something they say, like, maybe it's a mechanic that they exploit, something like that. Either or, whatever you want to,
bro. Armchair generals.
Oh yeah.
I hate the dudes, like, so my regiment, right? We'll be doing something, and then you'll have, I won't name names, but, you know, a dude from a bigger regiment start barking orders at us to go do something when we already have something planned. And it's like, fuck what you're doing, fuck your gameplay, fuck your fun, do what we want to do it, or we're gonna, like, you know, spam vote you out or whatever. You know, fuck you. You didn't pay for my copy of the game. I can do as I please, and I'm doing something different than your idea. So fucking what, dude? If you can't do it with what you got, then it's not obviously a good plan. Like, I just fucking hate armchair generals. I want people to work together, and, you know, if there's something that's easily exploitable, like wet conk or something, let everyone know about it. But if they have other priorities, then you just got to try your best to do what you can in that situation. If people want to help, fucking great. You know, I ask people for help all the time, but I'm not going to sit there and bark fucking orders at you. You know, hey, I just got off my fucking shift at work, bro. I'm having a brew. I'm not going to sit here and get belittled like a fucking child. Like, dude, sit down, take a break. It's all good, you know?
Too many people, they got opinions or they got things to say, but they don't know how to say it the right way, so it just comes off as like the worst way possible. Like you could instead of just being like, "Hey, come with us. We're going, this part of the hex, wherever, the right way." In my opinion, of just saying that is just like, "Hey, I'm gonna go here. Anybody want to join?
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, we're gonna do a partisan sneaky flank or whatever. Anybody want to join for that?" And 9 times out of 10, I will always have at least one person say yes. So like, why the fuck wouldn't you just make it a question, dude? Give it to them to make the choice, and you'll find at least one person will say, "Sure, I'll join you."
You know what my
But if
favorite
you just say,
version? Okay.
stop whatever the fuck you're doing and join us, no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was saying my favorite version of that is when they don't speak English and you're like, come up here, like
Yeah.
you do the advanced position and you do the the little like I think it's 7 on the keyboard and you do the little move here thing. That's my favorite little moments because like UBGE, they're Brazilians and we were playing with them the other day. And I was like, dude, wet conk. And he didn't understand what I was saying. And I go, big boom, right. And he fucking understood that. And we all went and fucking killed conk. And he was like, oh, yeah, bro. And fucking, it was so funny. Those are good dudes, by the way, UBG. Oh, I love when they don't speak English, though, or there's no form of real communication. And you just kind of have to make noises and point a certain way. That's I don't know. That's some of the funniest moments, I think, in Foxhole.
I'm lucky the languages I know, like, kind of cover
multilingual?
the majority of the players. Yeah, I know Spanish and Russian. So like,
Oh,
all the
no
Spanish
way,
regiments,
bro.
and especially the Russian ones, they're like, "Oh, Gremblo," and they'll like talk with me like on the front line and shit.
Dude,
But we mainly just like goof off and say meme shit.
that's hilarious, bro. I don't have anyone in my regiment. We have a bunch of English people, like from England and stuff.
Yeah.
We have one Scotsman. We have, I think, 2 now, and then a few Australians. So we're all like only English idiots. And so when we have another country, another language, we get some weird interpretations sometimes. It's really funny. It gets really funny. What's your worst player that you dislike?
Oh God, this is like a very specific example, and I know there's more than just this one person that does it, so it's not like I'm calling anybody out or anything like that. But players who they've got their main account and their second account, and then they get into a tank with those 2 accounts, and they're like, I'm gonna just solo tank or whatever with my 2 accounts. And I knew one guy who he would humble brag how many tanks he'd kill doing that. And he's like, oh yeah, I just killed an SHT or an HDD doing this. And I'm like, I'm looking at these videos. I'm like, dude, oh God, like it's not skill. You're just going the cheap way out, man. I don't care at the end of the day, but it's cheating. I didn't even know it was cheating or considered cheating. It's just, to me, it's cringe. I'm like, so you have no friends or nobody to play with. So you play with yourself is what I'm seeing right now. That's the way I take it.
Or the social skills are so piss poor that, no one wants to get in a tank with you.
This same guy who did that.
When he's got to wipe the brows to talk, it's going to be good.
All right. I'm getting sweaty just thinking about it because it pissed me off so much. I don't know what possesses somebody to do this. So this was a long time ago and I was streaming it too. So it makes it extra cringe, but we were doing a tank op. And I think it was when I don't remember when, but anyway, we were doing a tank op. We had lost 1 or 2 tanks. It's okay. We had a stockpile. We were going back. We were going to grab some more, right? Something had happened in that engagement that I guess was stupid, whatever. I wasn't paying attention because I was commanding, so I didn't know what the fuck was going on. That this other tank that died was doing. But I respawned to also grab another tank. And the guy just jumps into the VC on Discord and is like, Gremblo, I just gotta say, dude, that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm like, cool, ban, mute, out, done. And somebody was like, did you just ban that guy? I'm like, hell yeah, dude, I'm here to play a game and we're focusing up on an op. I don't need to hear some schmuck who just watched the stream like, to your point, right? Like armchair general. I don't need somebody telling me we did something wrong or inadequate or whatever. I'm like, this same guy plays with himself 2 accounts to a tank. I don't give a shit what he has to say.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
multi-boxing, I don't like multi-boxing the only time I've ever been like quote unquote cool with it is when like people need to put an MPF in, right? And there's too many R mats to what the truck can hold in it. And a lot of my Logi guys will sometimes, if they're doing an MPF of like Bardishes and they have to have 300 in another truck, they'll just come pull up that other truck, throw the R mats in together, and then do that kind of stuff. That doesn't really bother me, but like the tanking or like arty where they're loading their own arty,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit's so dumb, bro.
It's
Like
so
you're
cringe. It's
taking
so
away the
cringe.
game, bro. Like go play with other people. This is an MMO. If you want to go play Call of Duty,
Yeah.
like go play COD, dog. Like if you want to go be independent, like Arma, you can even do Arma. Oh, thank you for the sub, Giggles. Thank you very much. RWR speaking, roll
Oh
left.
yeah, giggles.
Thanks, bro. Dude, I don't know if you play War Thunder, by the way. He just said RWR. The F-18 came out, dog. Shit's pretty good.
Oh, I don't play. I'm out of it.
Good.
I tried getting into it. I couldn't play.
Yeah, I did the dumbass thing, and I bought a premium. My buddy was like, dude, you buy this premium and play with me. He doesn't play anymore, of course. That's what they all do. And so I bought one premium, and I ground out a whole tech tree. And now there was a new
shit.
F-18 that came out, and I was like, okay, well, I'm in the game now. I'm going to buy it. And so I was an idiot, and I bought another premium, and it's fun. It's a good time, though. That's another game.
Yeah.
We're in a podcast, Eagles. Don't distract me. All right, dude. Don't waste Gremblo's time, buddy. Just kidding. I love you, Giggles. Yeah, dude. I don't know. What do you... Just to kind of end it out, because we got about a half hour. We already talked a little bit about air. But I always ask people this at the end because I always really am curious. What do you want to get out of air? What do you want to see in air? Out of the air update.
I think for me, I'm most interested in the dogfights and like what that's gonna look like and how it's gonna feel like. I really hope, man, that they don't try and do the same like movement bullshit that they have with Navy. I really hope it's just like
WASD.
snappy, quick, good. Yeah, WASD, man. Make it feel like it's a good speed. Make it fun. I know it was just talked about earlier about how like it's gonna require skill still to like actually fly and all that shit. Like sure for like bombers or like more cumbersome planes, yeah, that makes sense. But like, dude, agile pilot like fighters should not be like that. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But my other main thing was just I don't want it to. If it costs rare mats, then I'm probably not gonna touch it. I'm like full boycotting. I did a video on this. We were talking before about like being in that secret club or whatever. And
Well, I'm never going.
when Navy first came out, I had done a video like I think it was a month after it came out, the Navy update, and I was like, this sucks. Like here are the 5 reasons why it sucks, and here's how you fix them. And one of the Discord community mods for Foxhole, we were like, it's only been out for a month. Why are you already shitting on it? I'm like, I mean, of course you're gonna like suck the dick, dude. I get it, but like, you can't just excuse what's wrong with the game.
I can have
like
fucking
you
opinion.
can't.
Yeah, like fuck that. You can have an opinion. What the fuck?
You still see me playing and having fun. I have issues with some of the decisions and the way things are going. I think that's it. That's being an adult. I don't fucking.
That's
what
crazy.
the fuck, dude? I
Someone
can
reach out to you
communicate
like
something
that.
that I disagree with. He commented on the video too. I was like, oh shit. So that's the other reason why I'm like, I think I'm in the shitter with that. But hey,
We're never.
it is
Hey,
what it is.
dude.
If you can't take.
We'll start our own little cult, dude. Our own little inner circle, bro. The no comms club, dude. And we'll get no communication from the devs ever.
You'll have to invite Beeflord to that too.
Beef,
So,
you're in, bro.
He's in the doghouse.
All right. I'll get Giggles in there too. All the little slumlord streamers from Foxhole, bro. No one above 110 viewers a day. We'll never get in, bro.
What about you? What are you looking forward to?
I mean,
Or what are you hoping for?
I'm optimistic to say that the collies would actually finally get an edge in the gameplay because, in my opinion, right now tanks are definitely warden heavy. I think as it sits right now, they want to make Navy even, but it's really heavy Warden right now. And it's really bad for me to say because I'm always preaching I want balance. But until they can actually get quality balance on both those gameplay sets, I really am hoping that the Collies can have something to be an equalizer. If they don't want to balance the game the way we hope, where tanks are even and they're even ships, maybe we get the dominant Air Force to be that equalizer, you know? And much like kind of what we did with in America in World War II, we didn't have the best tanks. You know, they were multiversed, kind of like ours are. But what really separated us apart was a badass Navy and the most dominant Air Force, right?
Mm.
I really am hoping that kind of sets us apart from the Wardens in one aspect of the game finally, that we finally get that fucking domination torch. Even though I want it to be competitive, I want them to finally, you know, if they're going to take their stance on they have a better Navy and better tanks, we should definitely get better fighters. We should definitely rule the skies. And I think that would be a really cool way of doing it. And what I mean by that is not total domination, but if we're skilled enough, we can dominate the sky and really take a hold of it, because it would also suit the Collie nature more, which is a lot. I always pictured the Collies as mercenary groups, PMCs, right? A bunch of small groups working towards a common goal. As to like the Wardens, you have the 5 fucking terror units, an army, you know, 11 ERC, 82 DK, you know, XYZ, name it, the big boys. Those boys are holding that army down. They pretty much dictate the doctrine to everyone else, and everyone falls in line. As to we're like, kind of fuck you, we want to be our own independent unit. We'll work with you, but if you know we're our own thing, don't boss us. And that's definitely something I see Collie versus Warden that's different. I think the Wardens work better as one army, and I think the Collies work as like PMC units that pick apart small things, and then we all fucking lunge when something actually hits. So if you have a PMC group that gets a chieftain or a ballista rush off and breaks open concrete, then we're like piranhas. We all go fucking, everyone spawns in at that hex, and it's 32 fucking player queue. And we all just seize each moment, but we play that's not my hex, not my problem. But then when something kicks off and it's big, everyone deploys there, right? As to the Wardens, they're like multi-front assault. Everyone's kind of sticking to the multi-front thing, and they just fucking slowly churn down. And so my thing is, I'm hoping the Collies get a really universal bomber that can also be a torpedo bomber. I think that would really help us in the naval aspect. I don't want it to be like the torpedo now where it fucking puts a large hole in a ship and ruins the fun, but I'm hoping it can do a lot of HE damage and put smokestacks on a boat. You know, kind of scurry it off. I'm hoping that we get a fighter that's longer range, like a P-51 or a P-47, that's a pseudo strike bomber, but it's very agile. It's a boomer zoomer. I don't know if you know anything about like planes of World War II, but like, do you know what a P-47 is?
I know.
So a P-47 was a naval aircraft, I'm pretty sure. Tell me if I'm wrong, Ducky. Tankin, Keyser, Trooper. I'm pretty sure a P-47 was a naval aircraft. The Army also used it, but that's what I thought. It's a naval aircraft, and it was very agile. It had 850 cals on it, and it could carry 3,000-pound bombs on its carriage, and it did a lot of dive strikes. And so what I'm kind of wanting is a P-47 where we can go put direct ammo on their tank lines with bombs, and then have a really good fighter that's really heavy that can go long distance. As to them, I want them to be more like a BF-109, very fast, very hard hitting, but it's not as maneuverable, and it's a lot less fuel. It's harder fuel consumption, but less. You know what I mean? I want them to kind of be a defensive Air Force as we're an invading Air Force, which is a lot different when you take into consideration. A Corsair would be fucking sick, but I can't hope for that because that'd be too good. A Corsair is a better P-47. and it shoots 20 mils
Mm-hmm.
instead of 50 cals. So, I do think, and that's really bad for me to say because, like I said, I've preached this all fucking day that I want balance. But if that is the way we get true balance throughout the game, like, I'm willing to take the hit in the tanks and the fucking Navy if we get that one thing that can balance the game out, right? And it's not full domination.
Right.
If they have really solid air-to-air coverage, they can still combat that very hard, and we can't fully lean on that. But if we could get that edge, you're not getting an F-22 tanking. Fucking idiot, bro.
Give me that Raptor.
Honestly, if it was up to me, I'd take an F-15E Strike Eagle, dude. I want fucking 20 AMRAMs, bro. Just hit you from a mile away. Yeah, dude. Give me an Eagle. That's right. Give me an F-15 Eagle. But, man, I just... That's my hope for it. I don't think that's what's going to happen. If I go to every update prior to this, I feel like the Wardens are going to have the really strong air at first, and then they're going to start kind of doing what they're doing with the Navy now. Like, they've started to give the Warden submarine less turn. They started giving the Collie Navy or sub more turn. They're starting to give buffs to the Collie Navy, but it's not there. They made our gunboat competable, but again, with that comment that they said, like, it's not supposed to be competitive. It's not supposed to, like, this is obviously supposed to be better. That just fucking, that kills the vibe of, like, my hope for what the game is going to be in store. And if they, honestly, let me ask you this, because you said this, and I kind of feel like every collie feels it in their heart right now. All the veterans that really know the game. And I hate when people fucking say, if they keep doing this, the game will die, bro. But realistically, do you think the game has a good health if they keep on the course they're at now? Do you think it will have a good, healthy course to keep running?
I don't think it's gonna die. I think what's gonna end up happening is a review bomb like before. And honestly, I'd probably be one of the content creators that kind of try not.
He did it! He did it! Get him canceled! Get him canceled! He did it! Sorry.
I'm gonna just say what's in my heart,
Bro.
No, like, honestly, if
I'm trolling
and I've done it
you,
before, right? Like,
I'm trolling you, but you know what I mean, bro. He's definitely in the club. He's in the club with me, dude. He ain't getting in the circle. Oh my god.
As somebody who's already made videos, like, saying what I wish for in, like, 2025, or what I'm hoping for in this update, or this is what I have issues with and how to improve and whatnot. I'm no stranger to voicing my opinion on things, and I would go so far as to say, like, guys, if we're getting repeat updates where nothing is being addressed for this one thing, the quickest way and most effective way of getting a team to fucking listen is to hurt them in their wallets. And I hate that it even has to be, like, go to that point. And it goes back to, like, again, like, I think the dev team should probably have, what Helldivers 2 did, right, with their community, like, surveys and all that stuff.
Dude, yes.
Like, it doesn't have to get to that point, guys. I don't want to review bomb. I don't want to do anything like that. But again, if there's a legitimate issue, and I think it is a legitimate issue in terms of balancing, you need to address that. Whether it's coming out and saying, guys, sorry, we're not going to change it. If the devs were to say, guys, we hear you, nothing is changing. All the issues you have from balance are wrong. I mean, they said that about the weather or whatever, but, like, you guys are just crazy and you're acting up, so we're not changing anything. I don't think there would be a review bomb for that. Maybe some people would say, like, I'm just not going to vote it positively if I have, because the devs don't care. But it's not going to be like, I personally wouldn't see a reason to do it, because the devs are flat out addressing the issue, and they're taking the stance of it's not an issue.
Gremblo,
so
I need to make you a promise right now.
Yeah.
If I ever fucking fish one of these devs into a podcast on the Boneyard, dude. I'll invite you. All right. That's my solo
Good
vow.
luck, man.
Yeah, never fucking.
And I hope it happens,
dude. Oh my god.
I hope it happens,
bro. I would be the most famous fucking streamer and YouTuber for Foxhole ever. If I got to talk to a dev, it'd be wild. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know what to do, honestly. Like, I don't know if I'd make jokes or if I'd be super serious the whole time. Like, I don't know.
I don't even think you can make jokes. Oddball was saying something earlier. I have to go back in the chat. He was banned in FOD because he was asking people to stop posting about the over-sexualized furries. I'm assuming it's the furries. And one of their mods banned him or something for requesting that stops getting posted. And I think it's funny and a bit ironic because in a podcast that I did, we had joked that one of the devs is a furry or a closeted furry, and that same video got put for 5 minutes in the community spotlight and then removed. And I was like, oh, I wonder why they did that. But somebody wasn't happy with that showing up.
Conspiracy theories are getting mixed around now, dude.
It's the classic Reddit mod, Discord mod having power, and I don't know, dude. I don't know who's in charge of those community spotlights.
You're
I think it's
sailing
gotta
in
be a
hot
mod.
water now, dude. Oh shit. You're definitely never getting in that club, bro. 100%.
I'm not trying to be. That's not my goal.
He
I'm
said
just
he don't
trying
want
to
it.
make videos and make people laugh.
That's true. Honestly,
Yeah.
my whole thing, I didn't even start streaming because I wanted to get a lot of people to like watch me and stuff. I literally watched it so I could get out of Foxhole. I want a lot of people to play with and enjoy my time off after work. That's literally the whole reason I started streaming, is because I already had a PC set up and I literally just wanted people to talk and hang out with and a place to record my clips and make a fool of myself on the internet and do small stuff like this. But like, to be honest, I never really talked to you that much outside of this. This is probably your first time really talking to me, I assume, because I've never talked to you that much.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen you on the front line and say hi, but we never really like talked in depth and
But
stuff.
this is fucking cool. Like, now I can put a name to the face as well. And like, to me, Foxhole is a lot more about the gameplay is 40% of it. I realized when I stopped playing it, I didn't really give a shit about playing the game, but the people that kept playing without me and not hanging out with them every day, I really enjoy playing with my regiment and shooting the shit with those guys. Most of the time, we don't even talk about Foxhole. Like, shit, I sent you what I made for my niece's birthday today. Like, the burgers and stuff I had and whatnot. Like, we shoot the shit. Like, we talk about different types of beer and whatnot. You know, and that's just my thing. I think Foxhole hits the hammer on the head, and I think that's the reason I'm so adamant about wanting it to be such a good game. I love the game. I want everyone to love the game because I think this game could be, I wouldn't say the best MMO because it has to fight like WoW and shit like that because that's kind of the genre it's in. But I think it hits an untapped market of World War II MMO. I definitely think it has a place in the top percentage of MMOs ever. I think that, and this is really from the heart, I think the worst part of the game is the devs. Even though they've crafted such a fucking badass game, I think the devs and the community managers are halting and hindering their ability to be big time. I really feel like if they listen to their community more, not solely just listen to us, but if they listen and open up to their community more and made this place or this game more balanced and a more, I wouldn't say even, but more of a competitive edge and a place for people to come play and enjoy their time off, I think it could be one of the best games. I really, like, non-cheesy saying that, because that's really fucking cheesy and generic to say, but I really put my stamp on it. I really do think they have one of the best game templates I've ever seen. You know, I've never seen any other game like it. I just feel like they hurt themselves. They shoot their own foot more than anything else, realistically. And I think it could easily change if they do exactly what you were saying. Took the Helldivers 2 approach. They don't even have to go full Helldivers 2. But if they just went like half of what they did, even just non-talking, they didn't have a community mod, or they didn't have a person, like, they have a person that actually goes over, it's like a game master, and does all the events and all that shit and the story of the game. They don't even need that. If they just had surveys over if we like stuff or not, like, can you imagine how that would play out?
Yeah.
Like, it would just be so much
I think
better.
it would be a net positive for them, and it would just be a benefit to their development. If they're so data oriented and like they're more focused on the numbers of what people are focusing on and balance and whatnot, like that's, I think, another data point for them to take a look at and kind of consider when they're developing Foxhole.
You know, I can't shit on them too hard. I've played 3,000 hours of their game, but I also want to play another 3,000.
We shit on you guys because we love you, god damn it.
Yeah, I beat you because I love you. That's
Exactly. Foxhole's an abusive game, and we are just as abusive.
Yeah. No, but seriously though, I say this almost at the end of every podcast. I do mean it though. Like, you might say you're done with Foxhole, but I call bullshit. You're gonna see your boys online doing some dumb stuff, and you're gonna want to hop on, dude. I guarantee you. You can't walk away. I promise you can't walk away.
I've already quit once, god damn it. I'll quit again.
Dude, it's a love-hate relationship, dude. It's an abusive thing, because fucking A, do I love it when it works, but when it doesn't, I want a new fucking PC, because I'm gonna break this motherfucker, dude. Like, I get mad. But not really. I don't ever get that mad. I just walk away. But, you know, I think this is pretty good, dude. We're pulling up on 2 hours. There's anything else you want to talk about before we pop out of here?
No, man. Thanks again for having me on, and it was great conversations. Yeah, I hope all the things we've discussed, I hope if just a fraction of it gets implemented in some way or heard of and addressed. I feel like they're already on the right track, and if not, I'll keep playing the fucking game, dude, because I'm fucking addicted and I can't stop. Like, come on.
Realistically though, if this ever does hit the devs' ears, I talk a lot of shit, but I mean what I said, and I think Gremblo means the same thing. We talk a lot of shit, but we do mean it. I think you guys could have a fucking #1 hit, but you're fucking shooting your own foot, and we want in that inner circle, motherfucker. Get us in there. I want it on that test bed. No, but seriously, dude, I'm actually really happy I got to finally meet you and actually got to talk to you for a little bit one-on-one there, and this is a great podcast, dude, and I appreciate you coming on here. Do you guys have any questions in the chat or in the actual live stream? Trooper, Keezer, Turtle, you guys got anything before we pop out of here for Gremblo? You guys got any questions for him? When in Ba coming back? What does that mean? Oh, when's Broken Arrow coming back? Did you play Broken Arrow too?
No.
All right, well, I think that's it, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close it out there today. Catch y'all on the next one. Thank you again for coming in, Gremblo. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right, then I'll just stop the stream real quick.